Now, we've all heard of the monkeypox virus at this stage.
Yes, so here to explain it all is virologist Gerald Barry. Good morning to you, Gerald. New virus in town, monkeypox. So tell us, what is it?
It's very different from COVID. I think that's the first thing to say. It's a virus that traditionally we associated with Africa, West Africa predominantly. First discovered in the late 50s in a monkey, hence the name, but tends to be transmitted normally from rodents into humans, actually, and not necessarily associated with monkeys predominantly. Tends to come from rodents. It is related to smallpox, which is a virus that we don't have anymore because of a vaccine, thankfully, that used to spread in human populations. And it causes blister-like kind of appearances on your skin. So it's appearance-wise, it's quite nasty. Okay. It can spread between humans, but doesn't spread between humans very efficiently. You need really close contact. That's the dogma as such, based on the evidence we have currently. So close contact is required, prolonged close contact. Doesn't spread the way COVID spreads kind of rapidly through populations. It doesn't do that. So that's, I suppose, reassuring in a way that you need that kind of prolonged close contact to pick it up.
So I suppose for the last week, like all I've seen everywhere is like monkeypox, monkeypox, monkeypox. Do you think, like, is it dangerous to humans? Like, are we going to see people dying from this? Or is this a case of, because of everything that's gone on in the world with COVID, that we're just more aware and we're reporting and looking at everything?
I think there's an element of that, yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I think we're so paranoid by COVID and so burned in a way by our experience with COVID that any new virus that comes along and hits the headlines, we all get a little bit extra excited about it nowadays. I think, I should say, first of all, this is not a new virus.
Yeah.
This is something that's been around and we've known about it for a long time. We have a treatment for it, we have a vaccine for it. So it's not comparable in any way to COVID. We know a lot about it, we know how it transmits. Outbreaks have happened in Africa and they've been studied intensely. You get sporadic outbreaks of this annually in countries like Nigeria where it's endemic, for example. So we know an awful lot about this virus. We have a vaccine against it, we have treatments against it, so it's just not comparable in any way, really, to COVID. And I think, in a way, yeah, we're a bit hypersensitive to anything that kind of sounds a little bit unusual. But this isn't, it's just not comparable in any way, I think, to COVID.
Because there are 85 cases reported in the EU, but as you're saying, it's not that serious. So if you were to have it, is it a case of just isolating? Is there treatments you can get for it? Or what are the symptoms?
I think, so there's a couple of different strains of it. The strain that this seems to be comparable to is one that's in Nigeria. Traditionally, it's slightly milder. It can cause those pustules on your skin, so that's obviously not particularly nice. But all the cases reported so far in Europe have been mild. It can cause severe disease, but relatively rarely. It's really just the appearance of it that's not particularly nice.
Yeah.
It can last for 2 or 3 weeks, make you feel a little bit unwell, make you kind of have flu-like symptoms, nausea in some cases. And as I say, those kind of blisters really is the worst thing that's been reported so far.
As you've said, this is something that has appeared. There have been outbreaks since the 50s. People know what it is. What the treatment is? The treatment like the vaccine for smallpox? What's the story?
Yeah, so because smallpox was such a massive issue in human populations for centuries, really, it was one of the first diseases that was targeted with a vaccine. And it's the first disease in humans that was eradicated. So we don't have smallpox anymore, thankfully, apart from labs in the US and Russia. And so because of that, and because of the fact that monkeypox is so similar to smallpox, the vaccine against smallpox actually is really good against monkeypox as well. About 85% effective against monkeypox. So even if it became a problem and we started getting increased cases, there's a vaccine ready to go and that can be rolled out. And that will give really good protection against infection. And so that's why, in a way, I don't think we need to be particularly worried about this becoming, a COVID scale type infection.
So you mentioned smallpox. That's kind of that sort of box that it's in. Is it? What about chickenpox? Is it similar to that?
In a way, it's just an unfortunate naming thing, historical naming thing. Chickenpox is not related to monkeypox in any way. Totally different family of viruses. And chickenpox, in fact, is a really good spreader in humans, has adapted to humans and spread, as any parent would tell you, spreads like wildfire through a classroom, for example.
Not all parents.
Not all. Sorry, Tommy has never had chickenpox. You're like the only adult in the world. Are you superhuman? Like, most kids are grabbed by their parents and rubbed up and down off another child.
For adults, isn't it?
Chickenpox.
Yeah, and of course shingles as well, which is also related to chickenpox.
So don't worry about monkeypox. It's chickenpox.
You're worried about chickenpox.
So yeah, different family. Monkeypox is not very well adapted to humans, so that's why in a way it finds it difficult to transmit between humans, and you need that extended period of close contact.
So when you're talking about extended period of close contact, we've heard there's been an awful lot of chatter about this. You know, I've seen it online, and it's about, you know, sexual orientation and about where it's from. There's been some homophobic words about it, some racist words, I think, about it as well. This virus doesn't go, this is for one gender. Anyone can get this.
Anyone can get this. Any sexual preference, any gender, it can pick this thing up.
Yeah.
It has been coincidentally associated with men that have sex with men, but I think that's completely a coincidence. There's no suggestion whatsoever, and there should be no suggestion, that this only targets one cohort of the population. Anybody in theory is vulnerable to this. The point being, though, that because that close contact for an extended period is needed, things like sexual contact, for example, it obviously involves close contact, we hope anyway. And so, that's an occasion where it could transmit.
Yeah.
And so really, I suppose, from a public awareness thing, even though we don't, at least it hasn't been recorded in Ireland at the moment, because there's a bit of an outbreak happening, people should be maybe aware if they do see any kind of a rash or blister-like appearance on their skin, get it checked out by their GP, tell their GP in advance that this is what they're coming in with. It's very unlikely to be monkeypox, but just in case, get it checked out before you maybe go out on a Saturday night.
For something that isn't very serious, is it the fact that we're just, I think you mentioned earlier, scarred by COVID? You know, Ireland is on high alert, and there's monkeypox chat everywhere. Yeah. Like, is this a case that we're going to have to deal with these viruses? I mean, this is just something we're just going to have to get used to.
Yeah, this is just the reality of the world we live in. I think particularly with international travel, diseases move around the place. This is a virus that's endemic in West Africa. There are multiple cases of it every year in places like Nigeria. People travel from Nigeria to Europe and vice versa. And so, you know, cases like this are going to pop up. Viruses that we think are new actually are causing disease in places like Africa all the time. And it's only really when it comes to places like Europe that we start to talk about it. You know, it would be wonderful in a way if we had proper policies in our health systems globally, that these diseases, we'd all be aware of them and would actually be treated at source. So, you know, we're talking about vaccinating people here in Europe. It would be wonderful if we went down and vaccinated people in Nigeria, for example, and they got better vaccine equity in place like that. And that would actually protect us in a way from these things. Because sporadic outbreaks of monkeypox and of other viruses will continue to happen. We just need to kind of keep better surveillance to keep track of them, better research to figure out how to stop them, and go to the source where they're causing a problem currently that we kind of turn a blind eye to a little bit and stop it.
And from a historical context, I don't think Europeans should be really talking about other places spreading disease, considering what we did in our past when we went to all other places.